Hey friends, Megan McIntosh here. Welcome to this video. Sorry to be late, but my Facebook was not letting me go live, and so I had to reboot my phone to find out what was going on, but now it's working. So yay for that. You never know, right? You never know with Facebook if your live button is gonna work or it's gonna turn off. And I figured, oh, maybe I'll go live on my personal page. And that wasn't working either. So I said, oh, it must be a deeper problem. So forgive me for being late, but here I am. And I can't wait to talk to you about this topic. It's going to be a lot of mindset. And so if you're someone who likes to really do work on your thoughts and understand the way you think and maybe why you're taking action sometimes and other times why you're procrastinating, this live is going to help you with that, because we're really going to hopefully solve a couple problems for you when you find that you are having some mindset dramas, having some things happening that are preventing you from taking action on what you know you're supposed to be doing. So if you're there live, say hi, drop a 1 down below in the comments. If you're watching right now, if you are watching the replay, you can drop a 2 down below and let me know where you're coming in from, what city, what town, what country. I am just out of Toronto, Canada, in a wonderful suburb called Mississauga, and we are currently planning a vacation for this weekend. We want to get out of the city, but now that my cottage is closed up for the season, we're thinking where to go. So we're thinking different places. One of the places we're looking at is Niagara Falls, maybe Collingwood. We're not sure. We're just checking around. But you know what's a bummer is all the pools are closed. So many of the pools are closed because of COVID restrictions, and I am such a what do you call it? I don't know. I guess I'm someone that likes to do pools at hotels. I was talking to my friend. She's like, ew, that's gross. I hate going to indoor pools at hotels. I'm like, really? I love it. I love like that spa feeling when you go to a hotel and maybe you go to the gym and then you go to the pool and spa area, and it's just such a nice, relaxing time. You really feel like you're on vacation, especially because in Canada, the weather's still cold, right? So it's not like we're going to this beach resort. We do want to take advantage of the hotel amenities. So we're looking into that. We'll see what happens. Haven't found anything I really want to go to yet, but keeping tabs. Maybe we'll go to Muskoka. I don't know. We're just trying to decide. I'm looking at all these different hotel places and I'm just like, I can't figure it out. What one do I want to go to? Anyway, enough about my travel thoughts and what I want here. Let's go into mindset. And let's really dive deep into something that I really think is going to help you specifically get focused. Okay, so first off, I want to just recap a little bit about what I talked about last week. I talked about perception and how important it is that your audience see you in a certain way, in a certain light, and that you are able to talk to their aspirational identity and knowing your ideal clients inside and out, and to really make your content and your creative and your marketing and the way you sell them in line with the way you think your audience wants to see you and the way they're going to perceive you. So that was such it's really more about next level marketing when you're thinking about perception. And then today I want to take it back and I want to tell you about perfection. So now, while perfection is getting the skills and getting your content in that place where you are really thinking about your ideal client in every sense of the word, and you have that amazing brand look to your content and brand strategy in place, one of the things that I notice my clients do is, because they want everything perfect and they want that perception to be a specific way, it stops them from taking action. And what happens is perfectionism takes over. So you're kind of like straddling these two things, the idea of perception and making sure that your clients see you in a specific way and you being perfect enough, or at least trying to make yourself look good and trying to make your brand look good so that the client buys and trusts you. But then also, this can stop you from actually putting out the content to build that relationship, however messy it might be, and you might fall into the perfectionism trap of just making sure everything's perfect and all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed before you actually implement and get anything out there. And so I want you to constantly be thinking about that. Where do you land, right? Where do you tend to go? Are you constantly putting out imperfect work and maybe just doing it over and over and just getting things out there without figuring out, testing the content that you're putting out. And if you're constantly putting stuff out, but you don't know if it's landing or if you're getting clients from it, but you're just continuing to do that, make sure that you have the skill to like look at what you're putting out there and see if it's resonating and if it's actually getting traction. But at the same time, or you might be the type of person that's on the perception side of things where you care so much about what people think that it's stopping you from taking any sort of imperfect action. And I would say if I were going to choose between perception and getting into perfection paralysis, I would 100% choose just putting out imperfect stuff. I would choose to put out your content anyway. And as you're putting out and as you're testing and tweaking, that's when you can perfect things. So I want to just like make you think about that so that when you are listening to your mind drama, that you can find out, is it leaning towards the perfectionism and I need everything perfect before I put it out? Or are you leaning towards constantly putting things out but really not really checking to see the resonance or checking to like start getting more skilled at the content you're putting out or more skilled at the way you're selling, right? You know, you could be overboard on both ways. You could be overboard in constantly putting stuff out and constantly going at it, but getting no results, right? And so you have to really be a strategic thinker and critical thinker to find out where you lie in what area. So it's almost like somewhere in the between where you are putting content out and you're getting used to that, and your mind and you're getting ready and learning how to do that over and over and over again, and then slowing down as you're putting it out and saying, how is this resonating? How is this post resonating? So let me give you an example of something that I did the other day. So the other day I got a message from someone who was interested in perhaps working with me, and now there is something that we say is it takes a lot of exposure for someone to want to work with you, especially to reach out, right? You probably have to be putting content out for a while and they have to have some sort of trust built. But I think it's always unique that when you find out if someone's reaching out to you, what is the latest piece of content that you just put out? So I was able to link that, and I've done this with numerous clients that do the reaching out to me. It's the same thing as if you get on the call with someone and you say, hey, how did you find out about me? It's the same idea. If someone's calling, getting in touch with you, you can ask them directly, how did you find out about me, or what made you decide to reach out? But you can also figure it out by the content that you're putting out. And so I really thought, okay, this person has probably been watching me for a while, but what was that piece of content, that piece of video, that piece of written work that really inspired them to take action? And you know, what was the last piece of content that you put out that inspired that action? And so I think this is something that you should be thinking about as well. Okay, so let me just see here what else I wanted to talk about. Okay, so one way to help you really decide, how do I get out of this perfectionism and how do I prevent myself from getting stuck, is to look at two things, and that is focus and vision. So vision. Okay, so one of the things that happens as a creative is there's a lot of idea generation. If you're a creative, you're very innovative, you come up with a lot of ideas, so much input is happening, you have a lot of things that you want to do and create, and you get excited, and oftentimes you start things but not necessarily follow them through. This is just very common with creatives and common with anyone that is a thought leader and someone that is putting out content and really speaking their truth, right? And getting themselves out there. And so if you're a visionary, you have a lot of ideas, you have this big mission, and you might have this overarching mission, but you might have all these ways that you want to promote and talk about your mission or teach on it and do trainings on it, right? So you have this overall vision, but then you maybe want to create your content in a specific way. And so what I look at it like this, okay? So if you're someone that has a lot of ideas, make sure that you're always tapping into your vision to really oversee what is the ideas that I want to create overall in my business. Like, let's make a plan of the things maybe I want to do over the next 6 months, or even if you want to shorten it to the next 3 months. And what are those things that are popping in my vision and my idea generation that I want to hone in on? What are those specific focus projects, right? And then from there, make sure the next word is focus. So we got vision and focus. So from there, from the big vision and all these ideas that you're generating, you really do then need to focus on a specific project or a specific vision at a time. Now, I'm not saying you can't do one or more things at the same time. Of course you can, but you just have to kind of know yourself and know how you work. And are you able to jump in and out of a project, which I'm sure you can, and it might keep your creative juices going. But I would say that if you're doing that, make sure you don't forget about a project. So what you want to do is you want to say, okay, if you are procrastinating, if you're getting in perfectionism, is it because you're too focused in on a project, or is it you're procrastinating and doing perfectionism because you don't even have a vision or know even what project you want to work on? So your vision, if you're not looking at your vision daily, you might not even be taking action because you have this vision that is so out there, but you haven't made it granular. You haven't made the vision into projects or made the vision into specific things that you want to put out there into the world, right? It could be a course, it could be a coaching program, it could be a service that you're providing, a product, right? You might have a big vision of what you want to achieve, but if you're not putting those things that you need to do or things that you want to put out there in the world into literally, I want to create this course, or I want to do this masterclass, or I want to have this coaching program. If you're not able to take your vision and put it into specific creative entities, then you're not really going to be taking action on them because it's still going to be up here in the ether. So you need to then take those big visions that you have and put them granular and decide what are the creative entities that I'm going to be working on. And from there, making sure that you take that time to actually work on those entities. Because what happens is we often get very excited in the get-go of the idea when we first work on something. We're very excited, we just love it, and it's, oh my gosh, I can't wait to work on this. But sometimes ideas take a long time to roll out, right? It could be, I was talking to someone today who does book publishing, and he works with authors to basically make their ideas and stories come to life. And I think he said one of the books took maybe 7 years to come to life, maybe 5 years. But imagine starting a project and taking many years for it to come into fruition. That takes a lot of focus, and that takes a lot of care to make sure that idea does not die, that vision still continues to take place, to come to life. Another project I was thinking about is there's this girl that I used to hang out with when I lived in New York in the advertising industry, and she, just like I, was a sales rep for a company in the advertising industry, and we would go to parties together and that kind of thing. And I remember being in touch with her, and she sort of had transitioned into producing, and then she transitioned into filmmaking, and she had gone overseas to Brazil and decided to shoot films. So she was interviewing and doing documentary type footage with graffiti artists, specifically women graffiti artists. And she started in Brazil. And I remember her doing that project, and it was years ago. And I think she actually started that project maybe in 2011, where she was in Brazil and she was videotaping and taking interviews of these graffiti artists in Brazil. She can speak Portuguese, and she just was able to do that. And I remember talking to her about that project years ago. And now I just literally saw, I was on LinkedIn and I came across her profile, and literally in 2021, her documentary just won a whole bunch of awards. And I said, oh my gosh, is that the same documentary? And what it was is she actually then took that project from the original, where she was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And the reason why I had connected with her is because I had gone to Brazil and I wanted to find out, either I was going to Brazil or I had come back from Brazil, and we were talking about it a few years back. And because I went to Brazil back in 2012. And I think she was working on the project in 2011 or something. And so we had that in common to like reconnect again and talk about Brazil. And she was saying how she was doing this graffiti project. And then I went on her LinkedIn. I literally saw that she just won a couple of awards at different film festivals for her documentary. And I looked into it to see, does she have a trailer of her documentary? And she did. And basically there was a whole website of all the different female graffiti artists that she had followed. And from all over the world, right? Not just Brazil. She had then gone to Colombia and Mexico and all these different places. And then now she's talking about this. So this was literally a project that has been in the works for years and years and years. Now, obviously it was mini projects, a whole bunch of different content that she created. And now it's, she has all this data and all this content that she's now put into a documentary to really tell that story over time. But that is something that takes time, and that is a creative idea that has jumped from one idea to the next, right? In terms of letting that idea really fulfill its purpose and come to life at its, potent time when it was supposed to come to life, right? And it's, you might think, wow, that's a long time to work on a project. But if you think about creatives and you think about the idea of having an idea come to life, it can take years and years of knowledge and years of training. I mean, you think about painters, you think about artists, since I've been in the advertising industry and in the creative space, ads are different. When I worked on TV commercials, understanding that industry, it's quite fast. It's you have to create a spot, like a TV commercial, within a certain amount of months, that kind of thing. But a lot of people that worked on those TV commercials, they also had other side projects that maybe they were working on. And so focus, right? Can you get that focus for a long time? So for instance, I'm working on something right now. I'm working on getting a course out for next year. And this is something that I could say to you, it's taken maybe a few months to really think about the curriculum I want in the course. But if you think about it, this has been years in the making because of all the knowledge I've gathered since I've been in sales my whole career, right? Because it's going to be a business foundation course with sales and marketing and all that, those elements. So if you're interested in being on the wait list for that, let me know. You can always just message me. But yeah, so basically for the years that I've collected all this information, binders worth of information, my own testing and tweaking with my own business as well as my client's business is something that I'm working on. So I'm working on what is going to be the curriculum, bite-sized curriculum in this, 5 or 6 module course, and how many videos am I going to do, and what are the topics that are most potent. And if you think about it, with all this wealth of information, one of the hardest things that people do is really bringing it down to its clear pieces and teachable moments. And that's the thing, is I could teach on all these different things and have all this different content, but I want to make it so that when people go through the course, they have like immediate results, or at least they learn the concepts quite easily. So it's a matter of me sifting through my own data and my own information to say what I'm going to put in it and what I'm going to not put in it, and what I'm going to hold back for maybe another course. And so that is something that I've been working on. And I was thinking about this topic with the focus and vision, because I've had a vision for this for a while. But I haven't really taken time to focus on it, right? I've been doing other things, and now I'm just deciding I want to focus on this. This is very important. It's a vision for part, I have a few courses I want to launch, and so I'm really envisioning what are those courses, what I'm going to teach on them, and then from there, just creating the content for them, right? So there's so many different steps in creating creative work that is your thought leadership, work that is, your baby in a sense. And so I want you to realize that if this is sometimes hard for you, if you're like, I want to create this, but it's taking so much time, know that that is part of the process, and it's absolutely okay, and that it will come alive when it's ready, right? And that you have to think that as long as you keep stoking the vision and you keep reminding yourself that this is a project you want to work on. I've been thinking about this for a while, just not always implementing it and taking action on it. You have to keep that vision, right? So if I had said, oh yeah, maybe I'll do a course, but then drop that and just forgot about it, I'm not continuing to create the curriculum for it, right? So that's where I'm in right now. I'm in the curriculum process of mapping out, almost like in my Google Excel, all the different pieces of video I'm going to put out and the different course pieces. And then from there, the next step would be shooting it, right? Creating the modules and creating the video content. But, first off, I want to make sure, do I know exactly the video content and the modules I want to include? And that takes a little bit of time. And so I want you to know that this is true. This does take time, but you have to keep stoking the vision. And then what you need to do is you have to keep going back and focus on the product or the program or the course or whatever it is you're working, the project, the creative entity. Because what happens is it's not always going to be smooth sailing. It's not always going to be a process that you just like whip out. Like, getting, putting videos out there and creating a curriculum and really getting in my head exactly how I want to say the pieces of content so that it's the way I want it to be represented, so that people actually get results from it. That takes time, right? So I know that it's going to take focused time, and so I make sure that I don't forget. Every single day I work a little bit more on it, right? Rather than like move my focus to something else because it might be easier to work on, or I can just whip that up. I'll just do an ebook or something like that, right? It's more about like, you want to do this course. Every single day, take some steps to work on that course, right? And go back and stoke that fire. And even if it is, a big undertaking doing these things, right? Just like I said, that film or a person that's book publishing, that could take years in the works, right? Now, obviously, this is completely different than one of those things, but things can take time. I've definitely worked on documentaries before. I've done a couple of them, and where I write the script for it, as well as get the people together, and then I have someone else shoot the documentary. And I've worked on two, and both of them took over a year. And so it can be frustrating and feel like you're constantly not done yet, because it just takes a long time to create a piece that's magical, that's up to your standard, and getting all the people together, especially for a documentary. But, once I knew that the process was going to take that amount of time, I didn't beat myself up over that time period. I didn't say, I should get this quicker. I made sure that I got it done. But at the same time, I want you to also know that you need to have an end date in mind, because otherwise you'll probably be working on something forever and you'll get into the perfectionism trap. So you also have to see, am I just taking a long time on working on this because am I taking a long time working on this because I really do want it the right way? And am I taking am I making it, how am I explaining this? I guess what I'm saying is, like, just make sure that you know the balance, right? Know the amount of that work you're putting in and the time that you're taking, versus knowing, am I being too much of a perfectionist? Am I slowing myself down for not launching it? Am I procrastinating because of perfectionism? Am I not launching something when I should because I am just trying to get it so perfect, or I'm just losing interest in it? So it's really such a dance between your focus, your vision, and getting that understanding the way your own brain works. And so every day when you're working on something, just like notice that about yourself. And yeah, that's all I have. I was looking at my notes. Do I have anything else? No, I do not. So thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope it helped you. I hope it made you see that the creative process is really a mindset game. And once you know that, once you understand it, it will really help you control your mind, control your thoughts, make sure that you can actually take the action that you need to take and that you're able to focus in. So, and you can actually train your brain to start looking at your patterns of behaviors, your patterns of getting into perfectionism, your patterns of not really focusing, your patterns of maybe not stoking your vision to get you back to what you want to be doing. And it's always a dance. It's always a dance of both of these things, right? Not knowing is like, well, I want to be wild and creative and I want to take time to really feel through this idea, versus are you taking so long to implement the idea that it's never going to actually get out there and see anybody, right? Like if you're working on something, I mean, I'm not saying, hey, listen, like there might be people that are working on a book for 20 years and finally it sees the light of day. So, don't judge yourself on that. But if you do want something that comes out in a certain time period, make sure that you look at that and say, am I the type of person that is a perfectionist, that does struggle to take action because I want everything perfect? Can I do my 80% on this and get it out there when I want it to be out there? So thanks so much for watching. Just a reminder, if you're interested in coaching with me, I would absolutely love to work with you. I have this new call that I've put together, which is called Thoughtful Selling. I actually changed the name. It was Sales Sorcery Strategy Session, but I just felt like where I am now and who I am, it is more about being thoughtful and when I'm selling and how I teach my sales. And I just felt like I kind of outgrown the sorcery side of things. I'm still very spiritual and creative, but I just feel like I really teach all my strategy in a thoughtful manner where it's not only taking you into consideration and your personality, but also your client's personality and how they are, and really thinking things through, as well as using the mindset side of things to really work on your brain to be able to do things that you want to do. So my main 3 things that I work on with people are their influence, increasing their influence through their marketing and sales strategy, increasing their intuition through their mindset and energy practices, as well as increasing their innovation, using their creativity and thought leadership to get themselves out there, to separate themselves from the pack, to come up with their own methods, to come up with their own frameworks and their way of teaching things in a way that is going to make them different, to get that brand strategy. So it's really about innovating as a person and constantly knowing that if you want to make it in an industry that you're in, a niche, it really is about understanding that you need to then come across differently. So it really is about influence, intuition, and innovation to get your message across. So if that's something for you, definitely send me a message. I would love to speak with you, and we can get on a free call for half an hour, see if we'd be a good fit. And if yes, awesome, I can tell you about my different packages. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world. Bye.